Okay, greetings everyone. My name is Chuck Nolisi Panugan and I am the first reporter of Group 9. So, our topic is all about global mobility. When we say global mobility, it is the ability to move between different levels in society or employment. No? And those people who lives are called migrants. Okay, so migrant is the term for a citizen who leaves his or her country of birth to work or reside in another country. No, and China, and India, Mexico, China, Philippines, and Afghanistan have the most migrants all over the world. And their top destinations for migration are in the West, Middle East, and United States. Okay, so there there are two types of migrants, which are the vagabonds and tourists. So vagabonds refers to the people who moves involuntarily, and it is classified into three. We have the refugees, where these people are forced to leave their homeland due to their fear for their safety. And then we have the asylum seekers, who seeks to remain in the homeland who seeks to remain to the country which they have flee. And we have the labor migrant, no, where these people are forced to search for work outside their home country to find better job opportunities. No? And on the other hand, we have the tourists where they just want to move on where they want to go. So, a major challenge in analyzing the mobility of the population is the difficulty in acquiring data. Many countries do not collect data, and those that collect data do not report them to their international agencies. That is why population flows are defined differently in different countries, and only few countries keeps track ex- of their expatriates. And also, many nations tend to keep the labor it needs, but there is also an influx of large number of migrants into another country, which can at times lead to conflicts. No? So, migration impediments also could be attributed to the growing concern over terrorism. Okay, so let's get to the bigger question. No? So the drivers of migration. Why does people leave? Okay, so since migration is as old as humankind, no, it is very long, no. People have always moved in search of better living conditions for themselves and for their loved ones, or sometimes people wants to escape dramatic situations in their homeland. Okay, so according to Everett Lee's push and pull theory in 1996, migration tends to occur because of undesirable factors in a place that pushes an individual from their homeland and attracting him or her towards the destination country. No? That is why it is called push and pull theory, because there are factors or there are reasons that pushes an individual to get out of his or her country, and there are also factors that pulls an individual there are also factors from another countries that pulls an individual to migrate, no. And according to Castelli in 2018, that in current global world reality is certainly much more complex and faceted, involving both local national realities and macro level causes, as well as meso level and micro level causes. So I have here a framework. It is a conceptual framework of migration and global environment change. So as we can see here, we have the macro levels. We have the political, demographic, economic, social, and environmental. And these are the reasons that pushes or that these are the reasons that a migrant leaves. In under the political, we have the conflict, insecurity, discrimination, and persecution. And under the demographic, we have the population density, population structure, diseases prevalence, no? And in the economic, we have job opportunities, income, producer and consumer prices. And also in the social, we have seeking education, family obligations, and the environmental, we have the exposure to hazard, food, water security, energy security, and land productivity. No, again, these are the macro levels. These are the reasons that pushes an individual to migrate. And moving to the meso levels, we have individual characteristics, which are age, sex, ethnicity, education, wealth, marital status, religion, and language. No? On the other hand, in the meso level, we have the obstacles or facilitators. We have the political, legal framework, social networks, diasporic links, cost of moving, and technology, which leads to their final decision whether an individual might migrate or stay. Okay, so let me explain it more briefly. No, so overall there are four factors of migration. We have political, economic, cultural, and social. So under the political factors, now these are the common political factors that drives an individual to leave his or her own country. First is we have the political identifications. No, it is the for example, if an individual doesn't like or does not agree to the political identification in his or her country, for example me, I don't like fascism. I am more of a communism political party. So if there is a political party that runs to the fascism, hmm, and I don't like fascism, so that particular reason drives me to migrate to find another country. No, so this is one of the common factors that drives people to migrate, whether the an individual does not the political parties and does not like the governance. And also we have the civil war, no? And anyway, who likes war, no? Civil war, no? When we say civil war, it is a war between people on the same country. For example, rebels. We have the people who rebels against the law, against the governments. No, that's why civil war. Civil be from the term civilian. No, so this is also one of the common factors that drives an individual to leave his or her own country. And then we have the policy changes. The changing of rules, the changing of laws. It can also pushes an individual to leave. For example, there are many people, and don't get it wrong. So it's just an example. So there are those people who prefers to use medical marijuana. And that's why most people, especially here in the Philippines, most people wants to migrate and find places that have that have laws on regulations that marijuana is legal. No. So moving on to the economic factors. No. Under the economic factors, we have this is very common. We have the poverty and employment. No, Well, for example, a country has a poor economy. It doesn't have enough jobs to for it does not have enough jobs to give to the citizens. No, there isn't much opportunities. So, and there are other countries that has opportunities. So that's why it tends people to leave. No, poverty and unemployment. And then we have the environmental degradation, no, the pollution, the destruction of our land, our soils, our our ecosystem. So it could be also the one of the common factors that drives the people, an individual, to migrate. And then we have the low-paying jobs and high taxation. No? Of course, no, there are, for example, there are in a particular country there is a low-paying jobs and high taxation. So, and another country has a more fine economy. For example, this particular country, there is a low paying jobs and high taxation, and this other country has stable jobs and a fair taxation. So this it could be the reason that an individual gets out of his or her homeland and migrates into that country that has a high paying job and a stable taxation. No, it could be one of the common reasons. And then we have the lack of resources and services. No? For example, a country cannot provide enough electricity for all of its people, or cannot provide water or any other resources for people to live. Cannot, or there is not enough land for houses. No, this could be one of the big factors that affects people to migrate to find a better living. No, and the next factors will be presented by my groupmate Evelyn Perales.
Cultural factors or cultural push factors usually involve slavery, um, ethnic cleansing, famine, and war. So people who choose to flee or people who are forced to flee as a result of these problems are often refugees. So the first one is slavery or slave. Slavery is the primary example or the first example of forced migration, unlike voluntary migration that has been practiced since prehistoric times. So people are being exploited, no, and pushed into slavery all around the world. While it may take different forms, we are committed to the ending slavery for everyone and everywhere. So people can be particularly vulnerable to modern slavery when external circumstances push them into taking risky decisions. The second one is ethnic cleansing. So this is the attempt to create ethnically homogeneous geographic areas through the deportation or forcible displacement of persons belongings to a particular ethnic group. So sometimes involve the removal of all physical message of the target group through the destruction of monuments, cemeteries, and houses of worship. Famine. So the next one is famine. Famine are sustained extreme shortages of food among discrete population or among the people, and insufficient to cause high rates of mortality. Signs and symptoms of prolonged food deprivation include loss or fat and tissue, depression, apathy, and weakness, which progress to immobility and death of the individual, often from superimposed respiratory or other infections. So in here, one of the cause of migration is famine. It is because the people are more fond of looking of place where food is stable there, so they tend to migrate in order to sustain their needs. The next one is war. So persecution because of one's ethnicity, religion, race, politics, or culture can push people to leave their country. A major factor is war, conflict, government, persecution, or there being as in significant risk for them. So those playing arm conflict, human rights violation or persecution, and more likely to become humanitarian refugees. This will affect where they settle, as some countries have more liberal approaches to humanitarian migrants than others. So, in the first instance, these individuals are likely to move to the nearest safe country that accept asylum seekers. For example, just like the war of Ukraine and Russia, the people in Ukraine seek asylum to the nearest countries wherein they can migrate and get their new life there. The fourth one is the social factors, which is the subtopic. So there are three. We can say that belongs to social factors. These are marital status, political violence, and policies. So first one is marital status. Marital status. Many migrants have done labor motives to migrate, and they differ substantially from labor migrants for other migration behavior. So for family migrant, the decision to is highly influenced by changes in their marital status. So due to marriage, no, due to marriage, women migrate husband, um, home place. So simplify, young unmarried women also migrate for the sake of job as they are energetic with. So for example, a Filipina married to a American citizen. So they will go to the country where the work is stable, and mostly Filipino women would like to migrate to the US because there are more opportunities there. The second one is the political violence. So political violence, people do not like to stay where there are political violence and disturbance. No, that is related to war. So they intend to go to place where the political peace and safe environment. Thus, they migrate. So political push factors that influence migrations are persecution based on political identification, the civil war, just what I have said, and policy changes. For example, so agriculture policy is actually both a push and pull sector for migration. So US agribusiness, or the business of the US, depends on and exploit migrant labor for production, thus creating a pull to the United States. Other countries like India have recently created an agricultural policy that would negatively impact to into farmers, pushing people to leave for their livelihoods. The last one is the facilities. So facilities, people migrate to those places where they have better facilities, just like health services, educational service, transportation, and communication, and the life is easier. Of course, every one of us is aiming for a life that is better and easier.